What's up, everybody? Soldier Barber Life here. Hey, I wanted to jump up on here and just talk to you guys about something that was pretty important to me. I recently found out that June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And, I recently found that out. It's the end of the month, but, I thought, this being the last day of the month, that I'd still jump on here and talk about this topic because I feel like it isn't talked about enough. And, just starting off right off the rip, I'd just say if you are dealing with any type of mental health issues, anything that you may be going through, whether you're in the military or not, like, I'm here to tell you, man to man, soldier to soldier, NCO to NCO, whatever the case may be, go get the help. Go get the help. I cannot stress that enough. It took me 15 years to go finally get help for mental health issues that I was struggling with. And I say it took me 15 years because the culture and the negative stigma that was on mental health from me coming up through the ranks over the past 15 years, it was looked down on. If you went and got mental health, if anything like that, people would tell you that it's a sign of weakness, that that would be weakness on your behalf, that would be a career killer, so it would end your career if you wanted to do anything. They would kick you out the army, all this different stuff. So this is things that were kind of brainwashed into me as a soldier coming up through the ranks. And I'm here to say, like, all that stuff is lies. I wish I would have done something about it sooner, but I didn't. Like I say, I waited until my entire world was falling apart. I waited 15 years until everything in my life was just completely falling apart, to where I was on the verge of committing suicide. I waited till I got to that point to say, hey, I need to get help. I was dealing with multiple different issues, PTSD that I just kept locked inside in a vault from a combat deployment that I was on. And that was just what we were told, coming up through the ranks. Just lock that inside, deal with it, find ways to deal with it. And that's what I did for all these years. And, it was a combination of that going on, personal life stressors going on at the same time. And it just felt like everything was way too much for me, for everything just became overwhelming. And it just got to the point to where I just didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to handle it, and I just got to the point to where I wanted to check out. And, that's the wrong answer, to get to that point and to allow myself to get to that point. But after 15 years, I finally decided that I wanted to go get help, and it's sad that I waited to that point to get to there. But there were little verbal cues when I started noticing that me as a person started changing. When the person that I knew who I was started changing. When my leadership style started changing. When I was me as an NCO, as a leader. When I started changing and becoming a different leader, those were all verbal cues to me that something's not going right up here. And it's something that I need to get looked at or get an opinion on and find out what's going on. So, for me, that takes a lot of maturity as a leader, because I know there are plenty leaders out there that don't deal with those issues. They keep all that stuff trapped in, and a lot of times they take it out on their subordinates, and that's not the way that's where a lot of the times this toxic leadership that you hear about stems from. And it stems from people that could be dealing with mental issues and they don't do nothing about it. They just hold it in and just let them deteriorate them from the inside out. And for me, it was a big sign. Like I say, I had a plan that I wanted to carry out. I had a plan that I was going to do, and I decided not to go through with that, and I made the right choice of going and seeking mental health. And in the military they call that behavioral health. But on the civilian side, that would be the equivalent of a therapist, so a mental health therapist. So I went and spoke to one of them, and I just laid it all out on the table. And they recommended that I go do outpatient therapy. So I did go to a military base group therapy session where I just opened up, and I realized that there's many other people out there like myself that were struggling with stuff. Some guys that were way worse off than I was, and some guys that were maybe in those infant phases. But it was just one of those things. It was very enlightening. It helped me. It helped to talk about it, to talk to somebody else and figure out what are the resources out there to help me, because life is going to happen, especially if you're in the military. Life is going to life, and one of the biggest things that I did learn is that it's not about trying to figure out how to not have these stressors happen, but how to deal with them. And dealing with these stressors and how you react to it and being able to intervene before it gets to that next level is really what's important. So I did make that decision. I did go start speaking to a therapist. I started doing therapy, and it did help. I will say that it did help me. It did help me get to a better headspace. It did help me reevaluate everything in my life and make me realize that I have so much more to live for. And I know that I had that already, but sometimes you get in a dark area. Like for some people, you really don't know. And a lot of people wouldn't know, because these people see me every day at work. You see a smile on my face, but you don't know what's going on the inside, like what I'm battling and what I'm fighting. And I would say, like, if you're a leader, like, encourage your soldiers to, if they need it, to go get it. And if you're a leader, definitely if you're a leader, like, don't be so prideful to think that you are beyond getting help if you need it, because we are soldiers too. Just because we're non-commissioned officers, just because I have this rank on my chest, doesn't mean that I'm a super soldier. Like, it just means I have more experience, I've been in longer, I've gone through more things, but that doesn't mean that I'm invincible. I'm not Captain America, so, like, go get the help. I will say, go get the help. Like, whatever somebody else may think, like, at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself. So I am here advocating to take care of yourself, and I feel like that's a big important thing, and I do have a pretty strong Christian faith, and I know that there is an adversary to me being a believer, and I know that the plans of the enemy and what he wanted to do for my life, he wanted to destroy me and take me out, but I feel like since I overcame that, I'm able to grow from that, so, like, having a spiritual life is very important as well. And that's what helped me out as well through this process, is having a very strong spiritual faith going through this. And it's crazy, because a lot of times I don't talk about personal things, on here on this platform and stuff like that, but I just felt really obligated on my heart to share this, and then outside of that, I feel like that didn't succeed in my life, and I did feel like, since that didn't happen, I have been hit with another curveball, currently something that I'm dealing with right now, but I'm not going to really get into too much in discussion with that. But going through things, as we speak right now, I just like I say, I want to advocate anybody, if you're dealing with stuff, just go get mental health, seek counseling, talk to somebody, whatever the case may be, whatever is going to help you progress through that situation. Go ahead and do what you need to do, because at the end of the day, you got to take care of yourself. And if you're an NCO, if you're a leader, push that to your soldiers. Don't hold them back from getting help if they need it. If they say something, if they confide in you, take that seriously, because you never know if that may be the last time that you ever talk to that person. There's plenty of men that don't deal with it the right way. There's some that they get overwhelmed by it and they take their own life. It's so many, and I'm glad that I can stand here and say that I'm not one of those that is a statistic that was able to succumb to those things. But just wanted to get on here and share that. June men's mental health month. You know, go get help if